I am Dana K. White of aslobcomesclean.com, author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life. And today I'm talking about why versus why not, and why we don't use why in the decluttering process. So I'm going to tell you a little story, something that happened to me, a conversation I had where I went, what? That's how other people think of this stuff? And helped me see how the way that I thought about my stuff was not actually helpful in my house. But I want to be really clear before I do that when I'm talking about why versus why not, it's a mindset issue that we're talking about. Okay, so we're specifically talking about a way to think about stuff, but it is not a word that I use in my decluttering process. Okay, why or why not are not words that are part of my 5-step decluttering process. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's in my book, Decluttering at the Speed of Life, but I've talked about it in a lot of other videos as well, different steps of the process. I don't use those words in my process because they are open-ended, all right? And they also can bring up a lot of feelings, which I'm going to talk about at the end, that are not helpful in the decluttering process, okay? So I just want to be clear about that. Okay, I'm not telling you to go look at your stuff and say why or why not. Okay, that's not what we're doing. Okay, and I'm going to get to the why. Why is not good. But I do want to talk about this why versus why not. So for my 40th birthday, which is close to 8 years ago now, my husband threw me a birthday party. Let's see, I started doing this weird job 12 years ago. So this was like 4 years into that process. So I had done a lot of changing. I think I had written 28 Days to Hope for Your Home at that point, which is now part of How to Manage Your Home Without Losing Your Mind, another one of my books. Anyway, so we had this birthday party and my mom had done some decorating for it. It was a surprise. It was lovely. It was amazing. They're super cute little decorations. Well, there was somebody else at the party. I had a daughter. I don't remember how old she would have been, like 7, something like that. And there was another lady there whose daughter was like 9, 10, something around like that. And some of these decorations were adorable, okay? Not stuff that I needed, but they were really, really cute. And they were like these big pinwheels that were like sparkly and pink and everything. And so I just said to the other mom, hey, why doesn't your daughter, why don't you take some of those home for your daughter? And she looked at me and she said, why? And I was so completely taken aback by that question. I wasn't offended. I'm not saying that at all, okay? But I was just like, it hit me that cute, pretty stuff, cool stuff, like it never occurred to me to wonder or to think or to ask, why would I need that? My natural reaction, I realized, to anything cute, pretty, fun, cool, interesting, that had potential, whatever, my natural reaction was, why not? Like it just did not occur to me that there was a reason to not bring something I really thought was cool and liked it into my home. And so it was very eye-opening to me that that was one of the differences between me and the people whose houses were under control consistently. Because I was learning that at that time. I was learning that, I don't know if I'd made up the word clutter threshold yet or not. I didn't have my 5-step decluttering process all nailed down like it is now. But I was learning all of those things that have turned into that by working in my own home. And so as I would do that, I was learning things, but this was just like, oh, my why not personality, my that's cool personality, like, well, then I want to have it in my house. I want to own it if I like it. That was a big part of the reason why my house was such a struggle and had been so cluttered for so many years versus those people's homes that had never gotten cluttered the way that mine had developed clutter or gained clutter or been cluttered for years or whatever. Okay. So, for me, it kind of helped me understand a little more of how the whole garage sale thing was so bad for me because garage sales are full of really cool things that people are like, there's no purpose for it in my home. And so I'm getting rid of it and I'm selling it. Well, I was the one who would buy it because I'd be like, I would bring things home and they would have no place in my home, all that. And I just didn't quite put it together. So that is a mindset that has taken me really far, not because I ask myself that about all of my clutter, but just understanding that about me and the reason why I had the house I had versus the house that I wanted, and what was one of the fundamental differences between me and the people whose houses looked the way I wanted my house to look. Okay, so it's a mindset thing. But let's talk about the decluttering process and why I don't use the word why as one of the questions. Okay, why is open-ended. All right. And if you ask me a why, I can come up with a reason. Like I can figure out why. Why would I want the pinwheel, the 3-wheel pinwheel? Because it's cute, because it's cool, because my daughter thinks it's cute and it's cool. And I could probably somehow put it in her room as a decoration. Or I could, I've seen people put stuff like that in their gardens. And so I could put it there. Or maybe she'll want to have it as a decoration at her birthday party that's coming up. Or, you ask me why, I can come up with a reason why, all right? So I don't use it as part of the process because I need concrete, instinctual answers that don't allow my brain to spin out, okay? So that's what my decluttering process is. The questions that I ask myself are, where would I look for this first? There's no analyzing there. It is literally the instinctual. Where's the first place where I would go if I was looking for this item? Okay. I'm not even saying, do I know where this goes? No, I'm saying, where would I look first? Even if I wasn't for sure it was going to be there. And then if I can't come up with an answer for that, then I ask myself the second decluttering question, which is, if I needed this item, would it ever occur to me that I already have one? And that is a yes or no answer. Now, if I didn't know I had it, but I did have a place where I would go looking to see if I had it, then it's already there. We're good. Okay. But if I could not answer that question, then I ask the second question that is instinctual and does not allow my brain to spin out. It's yes or no. Would it occur to me that I already had it? Okay. Meaning I wouldn't have even gone looking for it. I know that because I couldn't answer the first question. And so I would either do without, totally valid, or I would have gone out and bought another one. Not a good thing when I was trying to get rid of clutter because my house was out of control because I had so much stuff. See what I'm saying? Okay. And then in the end, everything comes down to the container concept. The container concept doesn't let me think of all the reasons. It doesn't let me justify. It is facts. Okay. The size of the shelf is the size of the shelf. This right here, I can only fit so much stuff on this shelf, okay? These are bricks, all right? Like I cannot expand them or push them open. I cannot, whatever the words would be. It's not Harry Potter here, okay? Like they're not going to expand for the amount of stuff that I wish I could have or that I want to have or that I can come up with the reason why I should have it. Instead, it's just the reality of the size of the space. And so I let that container make those decisions for me because I'm a why not person. See what I'm saying? So I don't use why as one of my decluttering questions because that doesn't help me with my personality. Now, because I have used my decluttering process and gotten rid of so much stuff in my house, now I know why not. Okay? Like I can answer my why not. Why not? Because I don't have the space for it. Why not? Because there's not an actual place for it in my home. Okay? But I didn't understand that before. And that leads me to the reason why I am really adamant. I know a lot of y'all, I would say the majority of you watch this channel for yourself. But I know that there are those of you who watch this channel and listen to my podcasts and all that kind of stuff because it helps you work with the people in your home who don't see things the way that you see them, but instead are much more of my why not personality. And when you're just saying why, and they're saying why not, and your answer is why, and their answer is why not, why, that is where the tension is, okay? So as you are helping someone else declutter, the decluttering process my 5-step decluttering process, because there are no emotions in it, because it doesn't allow for what if scenarios, it just goes by the actual facts for the person who you're helping, okay? So they may decide to put stuff in the container that this limited space that you wouldn't put there, but the space is still limited, okay? So the space is gonna say, okay, you can keep that, but you can't keep everything, all right? So don't use the word why when you're helping someone declutter. If it's you and your kids, if it's you and your spouse, if it's you and your parents, whoever it is that you're helping, avoid the word why. If you ask it, say, okay, never mind. Let me stick to where would you look for it first, okay? And then take it there now. Let's stick to, okay, sure, you can keep it, but what are you gonna get rid of out of this bookshelf or drawer or closet or whatever to make room for it, okay? Stick to the facts. Don't go with why, because all that does is make someone like me defensive. Like her reaction to me, which, I mean, she was not being unkind at all. Like this was like, I admire her so much and I've learned so much from this conversation. But my friend who said why, my immediate reaction was like, what? I mean, I didn't do that out loud. I was like, but I thought, I'm going to write a blog post about this. If somebody is asking me for my stuff, if we come in here and you're like, okay, you're going to help me declutter, and your first question is, why do you have this? That takes us nowhere. Like we get nowhere in the process. It doesn't actually help. What helps is saying, where would you look for this first? Take it there now. Okay? That acknowledges and lets them be the one to be like, oh, wait, I don't have an answer for that. Okay, well, would it ever occur to you that you already had one of these? You know, so it takes you through these fact-based questions that doesn't make people justify why they have things. Instead, it just sticks to the facts, because the why question is an immediate physical, I think visceral is the word, but I always am like, what exactly does visceral mean? Anyway, I'm sure some of y'all will tell me in the comments. Anyway, but that reaction that I have, very strong reaction to someone asking me to defend the reason that I'm keeping it. And if you ask me why, you're asking me to defend why I'm keeping it, which means I'm going to defend why I'm keeping it, which means I'm going to want to keep it even more. And remember that less equals success. That's why all of my little sayings, all of my little things are boiled down and super simple and non-emotional, and shut down the need, which really isn't a need because it doesn't actually work, to analyze and think through and da-da-da. No, it's like, let's just stick to the facts here. And then whatever I want to keep, great, but there are still facts. There are facts of the reality of the space that I have in my home, the reality of whether I would actually remember that I had it and then use it, or if it's just going to sit there in a pile, never to be known about and used. Okay? All right. I will talk to y'all next week. Is that long enough to wait before I go turn it off? Okay, I hope it is. Or he gets mad when I don't pause before I turn it off.